This week we are working on a Disney princess cake. My favorite Disney princess is Belle, followed by Ariel, just because it's what was popular when I was young and the movies I really liked. But we are going to start off just by rolling out a piece of fondant about the size that we need to cover the cake. I'm keeping this little side part for the top cover. And now I want to start off by covering the piece of fondant with sections of plastic wrap. That way I can open just the space I need. I mixed all the colors of the princesses ahead of time, and I have a reference photo, not because I'm going to create them exactly how they look, but mostly just for a reference of color and where the color is placed. I'm going to rub the surface with a damp paper towel. You want to make sure it's tacky to the touch so that the fondant we apply sticks well. And I'm starting with Belle because, like I said, she is my favorite. But I like that the characters nowadays aren't so much... They're not all princesses. They're just like strong female leads, which I do like as a message to the little girls out there. Okay, so this process is basically just taking very small pieces of fondant and applying them in simple shapes to create the images of the princess. So could I paint this on? Yes, I could. But I like the look of the solid, bright, clean colors of the fondant. Something about it just looks really fun to me. And also, I do enjoy the process. I find it really relaxing. You just sort of organically stretch out the pieces. And you don't have to use that much fondant. I was surprised how little fondant it actually took to make each princess. I actually mixed way too much of each color, to be honest. But because you want the overlays of fondant to be extremely thin, and you just push it and spread it out onto the background fondant and get it as thin as you can. This is my favorite fondant tool. I looked it up on Amazon, and it's called like a scriber tool. They're not always available. If I can find a listing on Amazon, I will attach it to the description in the video, but sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not. Now, I have found with this process, things like the arms and neck and whatnot, make them skinnier than you probably think they should be at first because the way the fondant spreads out. So you want to make them a little thinner than you might think. Plus, we're going to outline this later, which is going to add to the thickness and sort of expand the shape of her arm. I am going to show you the process of all the princesses or all the characters that I add on this cake. But just this first one, I'm doing in a slower motion so you can see the process more clearly. But then I'll speed through the other ones just so you can see how they're done and what order I laid the color on. But if I did them all in real time, this would be like an 8-hour video. Would it be an 8-hour video? It did take me a while to make this cake, so it's not the quickest process. It would be quicker if I wasn't filming it as I went, but then I wouldn't have this video for you guys. So I hope you try this process out. It is a lot of fun, and like I said, it's pretty relaxing too, because if you make a mistake, you can just sort of cut off little pieces. Like I think I made some of the arms too long at first, and I had to cut off pieces. So that is something to keep in mind. Now, I am a Disney fan. I grew up going to Disneyland every summer. I've been to Disney Sea in Tokyo, and I would really love to go to Disney World one day. Some of the more recent movies that I really like are Encanto and Moana. I know Moana's not that recent, but compared to Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast, I just really appreciate the adventurous spirit of Maribel and Moana. Plus, I think they both have really great soundtracks. My favorite part of this process is actually adding the hair and then painting the outline, but as soon as I start putting the hair on, I can start to see the princess come to life. Now we're going to move on to Tiana, who I also really love. Something that I did discover, if I just rubbed the surface of the fondant while the plastic wrap was covering it, it really smoothed out any of the little lines and it made everything more seamless and flush with the background piece of fondant below. So this is a very important step. I rewatched Sleeping Beauty several years back, and I just don't think it holds up. Nothing happens. I mean, it's the oddest story. And if you ever heard the old fairy tale of Sleeping Beauty and Aurora, it is quite disturbing. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, you might want to give it a Google. So needless to say, she's not one of my faves, but I do really like Maleficent. So maybe I should do a villain's cake, because I also, my favorite villain is Ursula. And I think my favorite part of this whole process was actually doing Jasmine's hair. It was just so much fun. You can just manipulate the fondant, swirl it around the way you need to, and then stick it down when you get it to where you like it. Now that we have them all on the fondant, I'm going to trim it down so that we can chill it in the fridge for a little bit. That way it'll be stiff when we put it on the cake. But I found that it wasn't quite tall enough, so I had to roll it out just a bit to eke out like another 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch. And then I trimmed it down to size and plopped it in the fridge for, 5-10 minutes just to stiffen up, because you see how it's a little wiggly. Now we're going to wrap the cake up, and I'm not even going to lie, I didn't leave it in there long enough. I didn't leave it in there for 10 minutes. I was too impatient, and so it got a little misshapen. So don't do what I did. Do what I said. And it's a little too long. So Snow White, you got to go. Hit the road, Jack. Your story's a little boring anyway. She's another one I revisited, and not a good movie. Don't ask me why Cinderella and Aurora ended up so much taller than everyone else. I have no idea. Alrighty, now we are going to paint on the outline, and I am using my favorite melted cocoa butter with some black petal dust. And once again, I will do Aurora a little bit slower so you can see, and then we'll speed through the rest. And absent-minded me, I didn't hit record when I painted Jasmine, so you're going to see that all of a sudden, poof, Jasmine's done. But you'll get the idea when you watch the rest of them. And you might even notice that sometimes I make a mistake, and all I did to clean it up, it was so easy. This actually cleans up way easier than the edible gel food color because it doesn't smear around the way that does. But all I did was take a Q-tip, dipped in a little vodka. You could probably use water, but vodka just evaporates quicker. And then I just very easily wipe the smudge off. If it's in a small section where you messed up, you can also take a very thin paintbrush to sort of clean up the mess. But if you try this, you will see how easy it cleans up. And then I just added some final touches with some edible gold paint to give some bling on the earrings. And for Pocahontas, I used turquoise edible gel color to give a pop to her necklace. And then we were all set. I hope you like how it turned out. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to play with your food.